proud to be sponsored by Diamond Bright, the car care products that have been keeping the furious fleet looking their best for a long time already. To find all you need to keep your car clean and protected, follow the link below to diamondbright.co.uk.
Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and I'm here in the barn with Little Red Wagon, the Rover with no name, the car which was for me the star of the NEC Classic Motor Show just a week or so ago. Now, you may have seen in the preamble to going on to that show, I was doing a few odd jobs to try and make it run nicely, because I haven't really done much with the car, or at all, since I bought it earlier in the year. So I changed the oil and filter, I changed the spark plugs. I did go and buy a Gates Power Grip kit, a timing belt kit for the thing, and a water pump, because I did notice there's a little label under here saying last timing belt change 82,000 miles. That was 50,000 miles ago, and I've no idea what year it was in. And I think it's a 40 to 50,000 mile interval on this car, maybe 35, I don't know. So not that we're exactly on borrowed time, but certainly we are on the verge of pushing our luck. Because I drove it to Birmingham back, no problem. I haven't used it too much since I got back. Another YouTuber did borrow the car because he wanted to do a review of it. That will be out fairly soon, I imagine. And yeah, since then I just parked up here in the barn out of harm's way. And as it's absolutely chucking with rain today, I'm really glad I have, because I didn't fancy doing this job in the rain, in the cold. And yeah, so I've not done a cam belt on a T-Series before. I've watched someone do one. Doesn't look too hard. No special tools required. Well, two special tools required. There is a crank lock required, but you can use a 6mm drill bit apparently, and you're meant to have a camshaft locking tool, but they are marked up, so as long as you keep the timing marks in position, even if you don't have the tool, you should be okay. Fingers firmly crossed, and we will turn it a lot before we start it. Right, let's turn this thing around so I've not got myself in the breeze like I did with the Freelander. Let's get this thing up in the air. Well, this is actually the first time I've ever parked a car diagonally in this corner. It's very exciting. Well, you might be able to notice I have taken the roof tent off Hippo the Freelander because we're not going to go away again, I don't think, until springtime. So rather than having that out in the elements all winter, that can live in here. I do need to work out some kind of hanging it from the ceiling to lift up and down type of apparatus, because that would be very, very cool, because it took a friend and me a bit of a hoik to lift it off again and stack it over there. Also means that Freelander is able to use multi-storey car parks during the winter time, and I don't have to worry about it being stolen. Right now, so I've got the road wheel slackened off. I'm looking in my Rover maintenance manual, which actually doesn't tell you how to change the timing belt on here, but I think it's a fairly straightforward thing. But I think we will have to be taking this engine mount off from memory. That's the only difficult thing. Also, I did go and buy a water pump as well, because as a rule of thumb, I always do a water pump with a cam belt, because normally they're combined. Timing belt kit includes the tensioner and the belt itself. It's Gates, so that's going to be really decent. Water pump on a T-Series though isn't powered by the timing belt. It's on the other end of the engine down here, so I didn't need to have bought that just now, but since I'm going in to do stuff, I might as well, because frankly it's a good idea. Although I might postpone it a little while, because this does need a new radiator. It's cooling very effectively, but the fins are absolutely janked, so it's another £100 I'm not sure I want to go and spend. I'll debate I'll see how well the videos do this month as to whether I buy a radiator for this car or not. I think that's going to be my deciding factor on that. Right, let's start getting this timing cover off and see where we stand. But this, I guess, is the easy bit, just 4 or 5 little, no, actually only 3 perhaps. Can't actually see them, no, 5. Small screws holding this cover on, and then we get to see the meatiness, and I can start turning the engine over by hand to make sure we've got the inlet and exhaust, or possibly inlet and exhaust, gears pointing to each other with their markings on, so they don't get confused, because confusion would be a bad thing. I have got a locking tool, but I think it's only for K-Series, not for T-Series. So 5 minutes in, first problem of the day. 3 of the bolts are out, the 4th one appears to have a knackered thread and isn't coming out. Yay! Okay, good old brute force and ignorance got that one off, with a pry bar inside there to push the outer cover off, and then this set to high speed to spin it away. That eventually came loose. It's probably just ruined the inside thread, but the thread was already gone because it was not coming out at all. It's boiling hot. I just burnt my finger on the damn thing. Yeah, that's not good. Well, my finger is still smarting from touching the back of that captive nut, which is just completely rock solid. And yeah, it does not want to come undone one little bit. So a 10mm on the back and a... ouch. There we go, it's finally released. But that was, I'm going to have to try and reseat that back in the other side of the timing cover, but that is just completely rock solid in there. Oh, this is not a taste of things to come. Running back and forth to the toolbox, and don't you like my new magnets here on the toolbox, more coming very shortly to the store. Notice a bit of a problem. It's raining a lot outside, it's also raining a bit in here as well. It's coming through the walls, or underneath the walls or something. I'm going to have to go and have a word with the farm manager about this, because that is not ideal. Suboptimal, I shall call that. Oh, well, it's the next day because I left that bolt soaking in Bulldog overnight, because this is brilliant. I'm 3-4 bolts into the job and I've not even touched the timing belt itself, but already I'm stuck on something really trivial and stupid ahead of the job itself. This bolt down here is the lower timing belt cover, and it will not come undone. I've also got to do that one just there, which I can barely even get a spanner onto, and one more down there. Again, can barely get a spanner onto it. I'll need to take the wheel off to get the others off. So if I can't even get the timing belt cover off, how am I going to change the timing belt? Normal service has been resumed on Furious Driving. Simple jobs defeating difficult jobs. Brilliant. Incidentally, can you hear the rain on the roof in here? It is absolutely thundering down. Right, okay, I can't undo that one. I've tried putting a socket on the back of it, but it's too tight to get onto the captive nut. I've tried putting a screwdriver in there to try and hold it still. That's not worked. I've left it soaking in Bulldog overnight, but there's just no way to hold the thing still on the back of it. So I'm going to whip the wheel off and then go in with extreme violence, get all the other bolts out, and then probably just have to break it and then get a new one from somewhere. I am using, for reference, the hockey puck with a groove in it from Draper to jack up on the sill, because that means you can jack up safely without putting a crimp in your pinch weld. That is of course available in the Amazon affiliate store. The Amazon affiliate store does make a big difference to the channel, because every time you look at stuff on Amazon, if anyone in your family then buys anything on that computer, we get a few pennies back from that. Say I do. It means I can buy stuff like this cam belt kit. Incidentally, I had a conversation with someone at the NEC and I said this has cost £200, but that did also include the water pump, the HT leads and the spark plugs and the oil filter. So yeah, it's not just £200 for the cam belt kit on its own. Right. I knew I had a step down thingy somewhere. Where's the thingy, other thingy? Okay, so I need to be taking off a bit of plastic work. This bolt here needs to come out. This bolt here needs to come out to free off this, and that is then, it's missing a bolt just there, and it's got a bolt just there. That should then give me access to this, and hopefully I don't need to take out the entire arch liner. Yes, I am largely doing this by guesswork. Well, I thought it would come undone easily because it was changed 50,000 miles ago. Honestly, that's no time at all. Don't know why I'm even bothering doing this. So a bit of power does make things a little easier every now and then. Ooh, looks like I was wrong about how oil-free this leaky-less, non-leaky engine is. It's a little leakier than I thought it might be. Well, I guess I was not 100% right about this engine being the leak-free, mystical T-series with no oil leaks, because there's quite a lot of oil on the bottom of this engine. Wonder where that's all come from. Got it's all at the back of the motor. It's pretty messy around the back actually. Interesting, probably not good. So to get full access to everything I need to take the auxiliary belt off. So before I do that, I'm going to set the timing on the crank. That means pushing an Allen key into a hole into the flywheel down there, whilst turning the crank wheel down there, which, let's face it, is comedy gold if you've got to do this on your own. So one hand down here to keep pressure on there, one hand on there to turn the thing. Definitely a two-person job. Well, it felt like something happened then. The engine is now locked in place on there, And that means that wherever is on here, oh, it's in the right place. Who knew? I've got an in and an out lining up against each other. Amazing. Hang on, I've got dirty hands, but I'll bring you over nonetheless. So incredibly, we have got that line on the right and that line on the right. A nice straight line all the way across there. So we just need to make sure we keep that straight line at all times through there. I did have a Google around to try and find a tool for locking these wheels, but I could not find one specifically for it. So now with this locked in place, what I can do is put a 15mm spanner on this tensioner here, gives a little twiddle, and then it should go slack. Let's get undo this. Oh, sorry, let's put the camera down so I can get a second hand on that. There we go. And off that comes. I should really have bought a new one of these, shouldn't I? Because I'm going to assume that's also 50,000 miles old. It doesn't feel too bad, but you know, worth spending 15 quid on, or £8 or whatever it is. Right, so that is now released. If you're in any doubt about the route that the belt has to go back onto, just make a quick doodle on the back of a bit of cardboard or something, just so you know the route it goes around, inside, outside, on various pulleys, so you can get it right again. This is a pretty simple one, but just a demo of what you can do, just to make life easier for yourself. Next up, the crank pulley. So it's 4, I think they're 8mm bolts to undo here, then the big 19, is it 19, whatever size it is in the middle there. I can tell you, I've got it here. Yeah, 19mm in the centre. Enormous thanks to a Rover forum, which has got all the information on how you do this step by step, making life so much easier. That one does not feel good at all. That's going to cause me problems, that one. And that one, I should have undone before I locked the wheel in place. Oh, that's just not having it. Bulldog. Right, okay, I cannot get that undone. I'm going to have to go home and get the heat extraction tool and see if I can undo it. It's in gear, handbrake's on full, and I've chocked the wheel. That's not having it, is it? Okay, breaker bar. Lucky I got a new breaker bar for the barn. There we go. That's broken loose. That's free. As they say. I really did not want to have to go home and get my heat induction. I meant to bring it with me today, and I just forgot it. I don't know, I went to the garage thinking, you know, in brain fart moments, we think, I'm going to go out to the garage and get those 2 tools, and I went and got the hockey puck thing for the jack, and I didn't go and get the heat extraction tool, which is what I 100% need right now, because the 8mm is just sitting on it, and it's just sliding, and I don't want to do it too much because it's going to round the thing off. No, I've put Bulldog on there, I've hit it with a hammer, percussive shock, I've put an 8mm spanner on there, thinking that might be tighter. I've tried putting an Imperial one, which is the same size but a bit tighter, didn't work either, and it's too good condition at the moment to hammer a 7mm on. Oh man alive, what a pain in the bum. Right, got it out. In the end, a combination of hitting on a special socket that a friend came by, just happened to have in the van, and hammer and the, what do you call it, the impact. Got this thing free, so I can now carry on with this job and not spend a long time driving home and back. This was not particularly keen to come off, but luckily I brought my full pry bar set over here, and that is now free. And these are apparently asymmetrical, so it will only go back on one way. Leaning on the wing, and literal chunks of paint are falling off the side of the car. Brilliant. Okay, now I just need to get this other lower timing cover plastic thingy off, and then we're good to go with the actual belt itself. I am going to go in and give this a bit of a clean up because it is really disgusting with spilt oil. So before I put the new belt on this, I'll give this whole area a bit of a clean up because it's absolutely disgusting. I'm missing a piece of cardboard, excellent. Sorry. Next thing's going to be to undo the engine mount, and then we can actually swap the belts over, which is the job itself, rather than all the preamble and build up. I want to do this while the belt's still in place, because I don't want to be disturbing anything. Now before I undo the engine mount up above, I have supported the weight of the engine on a block of wood under the oil sump, so spread the load across that. Then I can undo, I guess, some of these and try and work out which ones will be easiest to undo. Then hopefully we can lift it away and get to our little friend here. And these are all, I have to say, rather tight, which is as you would expect an engine mount to be. Okay, that one is now loosened off. Okay, it's one down. Let's work out what else I can take off. It didn't mention doing this in the book, but I am using a Rover 800 guide rather than a 400 or 200 guide, but I can't get access to the 3 bolts I need to undo with this washer bottle in the way, so I'm undoing the washer bottle. I think that will give me enough space to get in there and actually put something serious tool-wise on top of that. There really is nothing like overkill, is there? Okay, with that out of the way, I can now get a socket onto this. I have soaked it in Bulldog first thing this morning, so hopefully that will come undone relatively easily. Is that 13 as well? No, okay, that is a 13. And the extension bar is getting a good old workout today, I tell you that. That's freed off, so we'll get the ratchet on there in a minute. Right, none of them are too terribly tight, which is good. The jack underneath the car taking the pressure of this thing, it's actually really easy to undo these 3 bolts and let them slide out. I need a wiggle thing, I think, to actually move this one. Just a tad more than finger tight, so I'm using a socket with a bar on it just to spin them out. There you go, and one removed engine mount. Now just hope the jack doesn't fall while we're working for the next few minutes. Okay, now the fun bit. We've got the tensioner down here, which is a 10mm in the centre of it, and it's spring loaded, and I'm not 100% sure how this works. Normally you turn one of the bolts and the thing kind of pulls sideways. The guide said to just slacken off the centre bolt a tiny bit, and then you can move it to the back a touch. And that's a tiny bit loose, so let's see if we can do anything. There you go, with it slackened off, you can then just move the belt aside. So, okay, figured it out, it's not that hard. All you need to do is slacken it off, then manually pull it out the way as far as you can, tighten it back up again, and then you can slide the belt off. That's how it apparently works. Doesn't give you a lot of movement though, I've got to say. As untensioned things go, it's still fairly tensiony, I've got to say. Okay, and that is now off. So this is probably a 50,000 mile belt. Oh, it's a Gates belt, so that is good because it probably wasn't going to go. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks old, it looks dusty, but it doesn't look like it was about to give up anytime soon. But I'm glad to be putting a fresh one on though. The new one for comparison, also a Gates, is way more flexible, much nicer to have around. Okay, let's change that tensioner quickly and then move the new one on and pray nothing disturbs these wheels. All right, so that's the old one removed, complete with its little spring. And you can see how it has that groove for tensioning. Now let's get the new one out of its bag and in there. Hooked the spring back in where it goes in the car and back into the engine, and try and hook this through there. It's like a fishing game. Nearly got it, nearly got it. Oh, there we go. I don't got it. There we go, I got it. Now I can bolt this into place and then we can fit the belt on. Super duper. I'm going to need 2 hands for this. This is where you kind of need someone to do the filming for you, because I'm going to have to be pretty busy for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to start off by slipping this over the bottom pulley and around the tensioner. Okay, that's in there, kind of, loosely. I need 3 pairs of hands for this. The head up top. Now put this over the front one first, keeping it nice and tight. Make sure nothing moves, and then sliding this over the rear one. Is that tight enough along there? Yep, seems to be. That goes over there. That's surprisingly easy. I think, yeah, we're in place, we're good. Just need to push it all over the edges. And we're done. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, and more yes. We are actually in place. Let's push this back at the bottom as well. That was easy. Almost too easy. I can just release the tensioner, tighten that off, and Robert's your father's brother. Everything's good. Those haven't moved. That hasn't moved. I mean, it's still got the pin in the front. Mustn't forget that when I try and turn it. Let's just slacken off or tighten up the tensioner. Job's a good one. Wow, I'm impressed. The actual changing the timing belt job took about a minute. Getting to the timing belt has taken all day. Okay, so I'm not going to forget to take out my timing locking tool, which is an Allen key, which is now a very dirty Allen key. Give that a clean up and that go back in the box. Ooh, don't fall over. And then I'm going to put the engine mount back in, because that's quite important. I think, if anything, the engine mount is actually my priority, because at least then I can take the engine off the jack, and it doesn't matter if things move around too much after this. I should probably go and check the Rover manual in a second with various torque figures, which are probably quite important. Apparently 83 Newton meters for these ones. Right, so before I put this back on, another big thing to clean up, because this is just caked in more oil, which is not pleasant at all. It's kind of a shame you can't give like a twist of the engine on the crank pulley just to check everything's all right until you've done a fair amount of reassembly. It'd be nice to just test it right now and make sure there's no interference anywhere before putting this all back together again. Well, it's not concourse, but it's a lot better than it was. Right, I did mark this with a pointing upwards mark on there, so hopefully this will just go back in the right place with no major issues. Wow, who knew I got it right? And as these are asymmetrical, I can't have got it wrong. Who knew? Those engine mounts have got a Newton meterage of, what did it say, 83 for the engine mounts. This one is 110 Newton meters, or just incredibly tight. Big turning thing time now. That does feel basically the same as it did before. Do my best not to lose a knuckle on the brake caliper. Do you know what? I think we're good. I'm happy with that. I am satisfied. Right, let's put this thing in gear and welly it up as tight as it will go. And then put all the covers on. And what I'm not going to do right now though, is I'm not going to put the auxiliary belt on. I've just ordered one. It's being delivered to my house right now, so I'll have to pop back tonight and do that. I probably won't show you the rest of all this stuff because it's going to be quite boring, just me putting plastic covers back on and tightening them up. Okay, all but one cover is back on. Everything's back together down underneath there. I'm just going to turn the key and hopefully we will have, car is in neutral, a car that runs. I didn't reconnect the battery. Always something. Okay, cross your fingers everybody. The engine starts rather than explodes. Hey! We have a not dead car. What are the chances? I mean, fairly slim, I'm perfectly honest. Let's turn this off again before I kill myself with exhaust. Okay, so I'm going to get this thing off the jack and leave it on its all four wheels tonight, and then tonight, when I get home, in fact, there's going to be a new aux belt on there, so I'll whip this thing back in the air again tomorrow, put a new aux belt on there, and we're going to have a job well done. I'm also going to bring a friend over to put their foot as hard as possible on the foot brake, because I couldn't tighten up that crank pulley as tight as I would like to, because you can't do it unless you've got another person holding onto it very, very hard indeed with the foot brake. Brilliant. Okay, so this has not been a massive catastrophe. I mean, seriously, what are the chances? This actually went out quite well. I've still got to bolt the screen washer reservoir back in there, put its top cover back on, and then once I've done the auxiliary belts, then there's that 3 bolts to put that other cover back on. And basically we're done. So I think you've seen enough. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, as always, like and subscribe. You know the drill. And join me again next time when I don't know what I'm going to do actually. I've run out of things to do. Everything's finished. No, it's not. I've got tons of stuff to do. If it's sunny, I'm going to weld the Mercedes. If it's raining, I'm going to do some stuff on the Volvo, or the Tomcat perhaps actually, or I don't know, the V8 Rover. Everyone keeps asking about that. I don't know what I'm going to do. Too many choices. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.